So, in Revenge of the Sith, or Return of the Jedi, um, at the very beginning, this is a really genius way to introduce the Emperor as a physical presence, to impend his approach as a physical entity. Because in the Empire, we only saw him on a hologram. Now he's going to be here in the flesh, commanding his troops. Um, but a really genius line that they use at the very beginning of the movie, within the first 10 minutes, is Darth Vader comes into the new Death Star and he's greeted by the commander of the Death Star, and the Darth Vader basically says, we're really up. The Emperor is very upset with your lack of progress on the new Death Star. He wants you to go faster. And then that's the first sign that the commander has that the Emperor is actually coming to the Death Star to see the progress. He's like, the Emperor's coming here. Oh fuck, dude, the boss. And then Darth Vader's he drops the slickest line, and it's genius. He says, because the commander says, we shall double our efforts. The Emperor's coming, and then Darth Vader drops the line, I hope so, Commander, for your sake. The Emperor is not as forgiving as I am. And that is a genius line because within the story, it puts a big old gust of oh shit into the commander. His demeanor switches the second he hears the Emperor is coming to the station on in person. But that line from Vader is like what makes he starts to fucking gulping and shit. He's like fucking nervous. In AK, we'll see him sweating a lot. But it tells the audience at the same time. So basically, within the story, it's a implicit message that the Emperor is a fucking pretty badass dude. He's a bad hombre. But to the audience, it's a very explicit message because we've seen how merciless Vader can be, right? We know how bad of a dude Vader is. Vader has choked people to death with the Force due to minor tactical mistakes or just pissing him off essentially. So for Vader to say to this commander, this pencil pusher of the Imperial Army, that the Emperor is not as forgiving as he is, to the audience that sends us the message that like this fucking Emperor is a fucking bad dude. This is a fucking you don't want to look at this guy wrong because he's gonna fucking like tear you apart with his mind, or he's gonna atomize you or some shit. Like that's some scary business. Running a Death Star is no fucking picnic. It's a serious business. So I love that aspect of it. But Return of the Jedi is my favorite Star Wars movie of all time. But the one thing that I would have done to make it better is to you have that awesome foreshadowing at the very beginning of the movie, the first 10 minutes. The Emperor, he's a bad dude, and you look at him, he's gonna shoot you with lightning just because you had improper etiquette when he entered the room. You didn't bow the right way or whatever. The one thing I would have changed with that is that you have the hook right in the very beginning, but then you should have a demonstration of how merciless and cold he is. Right? That establishes the impending sense of dread that the fucking leader of the Empire, the guy who gives orders to Darth Vader, is coming to the new Death Star. And you establish that tension, but you don't have a demonstration of that tension later on in the film. What I would have done is had a direct demonstration of how merciless the Emperor really is, how less forgiving than Darth Vader he really is. Later on in the film when he arrives at the Death Star, he's in his throne room, he's talking, and then an Imperial officer comes in and interrupts their conversation to say like, "Oh, you spotted the rebels near Sullust," and then the Emperor just like fucking, just like does a really slow like fucking You can see his nose twitch and shit. He's just like fucking looking at him for like 10 seconds. You're just like, he just fucking shoots him with lightning or something. I don't know. Just something to demonstrate, because you have the hook at the beginning that's like, this emperor is a fucking serious guy. He's no fucking around. But then it doesn't pay off. You have the line, but you never see it in action. You never see. To the average op, he just looks like a fucking. He's just like a dude. He's just a dude in a bathrobe, and he comes in, and he's just like, oh, this is very nice. You never have that demonstration moment where it's like, yeah, I am the fucking OG. I'm better than Darth Vader. I'm more murderous. I'm more dark than Darth Vader. Darth Vader's on the dark side. I'm on the fucking dark side. I'm way over here on the spectrum. You don't get that like oh shit moment as like that you would expect from the dialogue at the beginning. You don't get that oh shit moment in practice. You don't get that fucking. You have the dialogue that makes you that makes you anxious, but then when the emperor actually arrives, you don't get the oh shit moment, like, oh shit, he just fucking like flayed a guy with his mind or something. You don't get that. That's the only thing that's, aside from the Ewoks, that's really generic, but that's one of the only things I would change about Return of the Jedi, is that buildup of anticipation for the emperor coming. But then you don't see that anticipation. You don't get the payoff for that anticipation. You don't get the, oh, you opened the door without knocking 3 times instead of you only knocked twice. So I'm gonna fucking like separate your atoms with my mind, because I that's a breach of etiquette and I don't like that. You don't get that. So that's the only thing I personally would change with Return of the Jedi, as far as the story goes. But I don't know. I'm just a fucking guy who likes the fucking Emperor.